Hello everyone, welcome to session 16 of LTEC 654, Programming Games and Simulations. Last week we introduced a new type of variable or data structure known as arrays. And we learned that arrays can be pretty powerful in helping us write more modular and efficient code. And we took a look at this example here where we used an array of our scene names to create a single function that starts on line 9 called load next scene that was capable of loading any scene we asked it to load by iterating through our array. This week, I want to introduce one final concept, and it falls into the control category of programming concepts. The concept is that of loops. And specifically, we're going to talk about for loops. Now, in programming, a loop is a control statement that specifies iteration or repetition. In other words, loops are used to execute the same code over and over again, usually for a certain number of times. So let's take a look at some examples. So here's a super simple example. You can see here on line 4, I say for I in 5. And then I indent one line and say print loop string of I. And what would the output of that be? Well, because it's a for loop, essentially I'm telling Godot that I want to repeat the instruction in line 5 times. And so it would iterate or repeat that line of code 5 times. And because computers start counting at 0, the first time it would print out loop 0, the second time loop 1, loop 2, loop 3, loop 4. So that is a very simple for loop. Now, I want to emphasize that every for loop has two parts. It has a header and a body. Now, the header specifies the number of iterations or times the loop should be repeated. In this case, the header is declared in line 4. Notice the keyword for followed by the variable I. And I is a variable that will change each time the loop repeats itself. And then finally, we have the number 5 in line 4, which specifies how many loops to execute. Now, line 6, on the other hand, is the body of the for loop, and it contains the code that should be repeated 5 times. In this case, all it is a simple print statement. But what's important to know is that every for loop has a header and a body. Now, another thing that I want to emphasize is that the letter I in this example is just a variable, and I usually stands for iteration or index, but you can rename that to anything. So take a look at this code here. Instead of using the variable I'm using the variable named index. The results are exactly the same, it's just the name of the variable is different. Now, another example of a for loop is we can iterate through the characters of a string. So here we're seeing for I in hello, print I. And the output of this would be HELLO, because each time Godot loops around, it's looping through each of the characters in the string hello. Of course, we can use other variables in our for loops. So in this example, in line 3, I have a global variable called number of loops, and it's set to the value of 3. And so when I actually, in my header of my for loop, line 6, I say for I in the variable number of loops. In other words, repeat this code 3 times, or the value of number of loops. And I'm using the same print statement as the body of the for loop, and so the output would be loop 0, loop 1, loop 2. Another common usage of for loops is to use them with arrays. Now, take a look at line 3. I have an array named array, and it has 3 string values, Peter, Paul, and Mary. And what I can do is iterate or loop through all of the values of the array. And so in line 6, I'm saying for I in array, print I. And in this case, it would print out each of the elements in that array. In other words, Peter, Paul, and Mary. 1, 2, 3. If I added a 4th name, it would print out the 4th name. The for loop would adjust to the length of the array. Now, let's look at a slightly more useful example. Here, I want to calculate total sales. And so I have a variable called monthly sales. And it actually is an array, and it's storing 5 monthly sales values. And so take a look at my code. In line 6, I am saying create a local variable called total sales, and I'm setting it equal to 0. And then I'm telling Godot I want you to loop through all of the values in monthly sales. And each time you do that, I want you to change the value of my local variable, total sales. And so I'm saying total sales equals total sales plus I. And then in line 9, after the for loop has completed, I am printing out total sales plus the string value of total sales. So the output would be total sales $1,280. So all I'm doing here is looping through the array monthly sales and adding up all of the values to create a total sales variable. Now, let's look at an example more related to games. So here's a quick mock-up of something similar to Space Invaders. As you can see here on the right-hand side of the screen, there are 10 aliens present. So how did I do that with a for loop? Well, in this case, in line 3, I have a global variable called number of aliens, and I'm setting that equal to 10. And then as soon as my code runs, I'm manually calling a function called load aliens. Let's take a look at that function. Here it is. In line 9, I have the header of my for loop, and I'm saying for I in number of aliens. Remember, number of aliens is 10. I want to repeat some code, and this time I'm going to repeat 4 lines of code. Starting in line 10, I am going to create an instance of the alien scene. Then I'm going to randomly generate an X and Y position for that alien, and then I'm going to add that alien as a child to body. And of course, the result is 10 randomly spaced aliens. Now, take a look at this. Obviously, there are many more aliens on the screen. The only difference is I changed the value in line 3. Instead of number of aliens equals 10, I created it to be equal to 50. The for loop doesn't care how many times I'm asking it to work. It's doing the same thing every time. Now, let's take a look at this example. I'm back to my 10 aliens, but notice that I can, when I click on these, I get a little bit of update text underneath the title Space Invaders, and it tells me exactly what alien I'm clicking on, such as Alien 1 or Alien 8 or Alien 7, and then I'm actually removing that alien from the screen. And I wanted to show you how to do that in code. So a couple of things that need to happen here. So here is my same function, load aliens, but I want you to take a look at line 11. In line 11, I'm giving each alien a unique name, and I'm doing that by setting its name property. I'm saying a.name equals alien plus I'm taking the value of my index or my iteration, I, and I'm turning it into a string. I'm then setting the X and Y position. Now look what I'm doing in line 14. In line 14, I'm saying reach into the alien node, get the node called control, and I want you to connect a pressed signal to it. And when that signal is pressed, I want you to call the upon alien clicked function. And then finally, I'm passing one last piece of information in brackets. And what's that piece of information? I'm actually passing a reference to that alien that I've loaded. Now keep in mind, this is going to happen for every single alien. Let's take a look now at the upon alien clicked function. So here it is, upon alien clicked. Now because I wanted to pass an extra piece of information, a reference to the alien itself, I have to write my function so that it accepts one parameter. And in this case, I'm calling that parameter alien to remind me what it is I'm accepting. I could have called that anything. I could have called it A, I could have called it A1, but in this case, I called it alien. And then look what I'm doing in line 18. I'm saying header/label.text equals you clicked plus alien.name. In other words, I can use this code to inform the user what alien they just clicked on. And then importantly, in line 19, I'm calling another function called remove alien. And I'm passing a reference to the alien that the user clicked on. So let's take a look at that function. I'm saying remove alien, alien, and then I'm creating a var a, and I'm saying get the node that has the name alien.name. Again, this is dynamic code. I don't have to tell it exactly which alien I want. I'm just telling it get whatever one the user clicked on. And then what am I doing in line 23? I'm simply removing that child from body. And that's how I get that effect of knowing what alien I clicked on, displaying the text you clicked on alien 7, and then I'm actually removing alien 7 from body. This is an example of how you can use for loops and connect signals to it and really create very dynamic functions in your code. That's all I wanted to mention about for loops. I just wanted to point out that we do have 1 week left. It's a short week. It's actually just May 5th to May 7th. I will post one final video to focus on wrapping up and concluding the course. And I just want to remind everyone that game production project number 2 is due on May 11th. So you have the whole week of exams to focus on that project. Okay, everyone, that's all we have time for today. Have a great week, and I'll see you in Canvas.